Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Dirt Grain Steel. It is a beautiful Friday morning. Just got to the shop. A little recap of what's happened this week. So the MC is running fairly good. We're waiting on tune-up kit for it. We're going to give it a tune-up, plugs, wires, condenser, everything. Really thinking about a gentleman commented in my comments. He's got several of these tractors. He said go with electronic ignition. Really thinking about doing that, just got to get it ordered. So anyways, regardless, tune-up kit I got has points, condensers, and whatnot. So we're going to throw that in for now until we get the electronic ignition if we go that route. So we'll see what happens. So anyways, moving on. Good morning, Wilson. How are you? So another thing we done so far this week is we tore the 720 down, found the mysterious noise that it had. Ended up being a camshaft loose. Camshaft was loose because the gear was loose because the nut backed off the gear. So that had a strange sound going on. So we tore it down. The 270, at the beginning of the week, we took the oil cooler up to Fort Wayne. Determined it was going to be about $5,500 to fix the cooler. So we done a lot of research and came up with a direct replacement cooler that's coming out of Japan for under $2,000. So we went ahead and ordered that because we'll get that sooner than the other one could be repaired for less money. Just makes sense. I don't have a problem ordering stuff out of Japan. Done it before. In fact, here sits a final drive main shaft for a John Deere 720 excavator that we had to order out of Japan. I keep it because that's the one that we ordered was one of two left in the world. So there's still one of them out there if they haven't been used yet. What a lot of people don't know is these Hitachis are the same as the Deeres. Hitachi built excavators for Deere. Deere put their own engine and their name on them. So they have a whole deal going on together. So anyways, we're going to head up today to get that cooler. And we're also going to head up to New Paris Tractor Parts and pick up parts for the 720. And Dad's Strength's about to walk in. Can you say good morning?
Good morning. I brought my V8 splash juice.
Oh, good.
We're not sponsored.
We're not sponsored. So if V8 wants to sponsor him, he drinks their juice, I guess. It's berry blend. I was not aware that he drinks V8. But anyways, so if you'd like to come with us on our adventure today, I welcome you to join us. If not, you don't have to watch. You can, you really don't have to participate because you're sitting at home on your, after he gets done making noise, you're sitting at home on your iPad, your phone, or your computer, so you just shut us off if you don't want to watch us. But I guarantee you want to watch us today.
Makes us no difference. We won't know if you do it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we'll see it in the watch time. But when I'm up at New Paris Tractor Parts today, I want to see if I can find a light bracket for the MC for a rear work light. I'd like to have one. I've seen one in the book. I might have to get one just off an M tractor and possibly modify it, but I'd like to get my hands on one.
We need to design one of these for 2 cylinders.
Oh, so don't just sit there and... Well, it needs a little weight put on it, but that's okay. So anyways, as soon as Dad gets out of the house, I think we're going to head on a road trip. So we'll see what happens today. So before we left the shop today on our adventure, we decided to check this pin that the idler gears are on. And we slid the bearing back on it, and there's quite a bit of play because we think the bearing spun on this peg. So we're going to go ahead and pull this peg out. And what shows in the book is similar to what I got here. So I just took a puller that we had on the shelf, put some bolts behind it, and threaded a bolt in the peg, and had to get with it pretty good. And then Dad's Strength hit the head of the bolt with a hammer, and I kept tightening it a little more, and next thing you know, it popped, and now it's starting to come out. So we're just going to keep pulling it out, and we'll get this new pin or peg or whatever you want to call it. We'll just get a new one and put in the tractor. I think we might be out of threads. Okay, so we got that peg out. Came out. Took a couple of times of resetting the puller and adding washers to pull a little farther. But as you can see, when you get it out in the light, you can see how that gear and bearing was walking around on there, the different discolorations in it. But this is the bearing that goes on it, and this is the gear that it all goes in, and this was all just floppy. So we're going to get all this new. The hole in the crankcase is in good shape, obviously, because I had to pull it out. So we just need this, and this, and we'll have her. So we're getting a list of parts together right now, what we need, and then we'll head to New Paris Tractor Parts and see what we can get. Well, we're here at New Paris Tractor Parts now, and I got the set screw that we need to hold the camshaft in. This is what it's supposed to look like, not homemade. This is one out of another 720. So we got that. So now we're gonna go. I'm gonna go look for a light bracket for the MC, and maybe some other few small items for it. We'll see what I can find. It's kind of cold out here today. Well, if you're wondering what a 720 block looks like with no internals in it, that's what it looks like. It's pretty much a stripped block. The oil pump's still down in there, but that's what they look like inside. Okay, interesting to come here and look at tractors all tore apart. Gives you a good idea what's inside of them. Okay, so we're back from our adventure to New Paris Tractor Parts and picking up the cooler for the 270. So I'll show you what's going on with the cooler here in the 270. As you can see right here, that's one of the tubes. The oil goes through these tubes, in and out of the cooler, in a circulation. Fan sucks air through, you know how it works. But anyways, as you can see, this has got what's called fin rot. And around all the fins, these are copper fins, and then there's steel tubes that run through each copper fin. Well, the steel tubes are starting to decay where the copper plates run around them, or fins. So as you can see, they poked it with a pick there. That's where it was originally leaking, and that's where I thought it was leaking. And they said it's leaking in a few other spots throughout. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to throw this cooler away. I got an idea for it. I'm going to pressure wash it really good, degrease it really good, and then I'm going to find an epoxy, because they claim that the rot is only really down here in this bottom part, where, like, I suspected the batteries, the acid coming out of the batteries may have caused it to rust. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an experiment with it. I need a big oil cooler for my trommel. So what I was thinking I could do is I'm going to seal off this whole end, and I'm going to find some sort of epoxy to fill this whole end of this cooler with and actually glue it all shut. And then from here up, the cooler should still be okay. So I don't want to throw it away. I don't want to give up on it. I'm going to use it for something. It's not going back in the excavator, but we'll use it for something. So anyways, let's go in the shop and I'll show you everything we got today at New Paris Tractor Parts. Now that we're in the shop, we'll go through what we got at New Paris Tractor Parts. So this is part of our old clutch. We've got the new clutch, the new clutches. There's one. Some more of the new clutch fibers. The new clutch steel drive discs that the teeth were really worn on ours and causing it to move around a lot. Here's another one of the new discs. A new pulley wheel brake pad. New shifter boot for the MC. A new lock nut for the flywheel on the 720. And that seal was, I'll have to look in the book what that one was for. The new springs for the clutch for the 720. Okay, now we were talking about the fan shaft being loose in the 720. The fan shaft has these couplers. There's one coupler, the shaft goes in, and then this couples it to the power steering pump. And between all these couplers, the couplers were worn really bad. And that's where we were getting all that free play in the fan shaft. So those should really tighten up the fan shaft and not have so much free play in the fan. we'll get to this in a second. This is the idler gear that we needed. This is the peg that goes into the side of the block of the 720. So we have to drive that back in. And as you can see, it's much tighter. There's no play in it. So that'll solve the problem. This is a good bearing in here. That'll solve that problem. And then we got our sit screw that holds our cam bearing in. This is the proper one, square-headed, not ground, it's actually factory machined. So that's the proper one. We got one of those. The most exciting part that I'm excited about, well, we'll get to the exciting part in a second. This is a piece of sheet metal that goes behind the flywheel cover that seals off behind the pony motor, sits down in here. We got that. We were missing that with our tractor. New valve cover for the MC because the one that's on it is smashed down, and Dad's strength said we should get a new one because it'll look nice with the hood off. So we got one. Okay, now this is the exciting thing. One of the exciting things. That's a hydraulic pump off of an MT. I'm going to take this hydraulic pump and I'm going to put it on the MC, and the MC is going to have hydraulic lift on it implements. So I'm really excited about this. There is a blank spot on the front cover that unbolts, and Rich at New Paris Tractor Parts gave me this camshaft out of an MT with the coupler. So if I don't have one, I'll have one. I'll take this off, put it on the MC on the camshaft, and then I'll be able to drive the hydraulic pump just like so. So now what I got to do is I have to build me a hydraulic reservoir. I'll have to put a valve on it, and I'll have to run the plumbing. But the MC will have hydraulic. Then I got a work light for the rear of the MC. I didn't find a bracket for this work light, but that's okay, I can make one. I didn't think they would have one because they don't really have crawlers there. And I got a 6-volt light bulb to go in that light. So that's our haul of parts for today. So I'm pretty excited. We had to stop at John Deere and we ordered all the gaskets, and there's a few other small parts that we had to get through a Deere dealer. But for the most part, we got everything that we really needed other than gaskets to put the 720 back together and have it successfully running again. So pretty excited about it. Okay, so we got our idler gear back on. Claire's out here fixing stuff. We got our idler gear back on. Say hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. So anyways, got our idler gear back on, and we got our, that's not the right size. We got our cam gear back on, and we got our cam bearing back in. So now what we can do is, I've just put this nut on here temporarily until the new one comes from John Deere, because I wanted to make sure all the timing marks are lined up and everything. So as you can see, we got our timing marks there, and we got our timing marks on the crankshaft. The crankshaft was never turned, so we're good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go on the other side of the tractor. I'm going to put the camera in the holder, and we're going to set our set screw that holds our cam bearing in, and we're going to set that to 8 foot-pounds. I will show you how we're going to do that. We have a 7/8 wrench for the jam nut. We have a 9/16 wrench to thread it most of the way in, and then we have our torque wrench with a square socket to tighten that in. So let me get the camera set up over here, and of course my battery's going to go dead in my light. So let me grab another battery and we'll get this torqued down. Okay, so we have a fresh battery in the Milwaukee tripod light. I know everybody likes the extra lighting, so we'll put a little more light on the subject. Let me see, is that as bright as it'll go? It's got 3 there, that's as bright as it'll go. So, okay, let me shut the radio off here real quick so it's not interfering with the video, because I know how YouTube does not like music if it's not yours. So here's our jam bolt. We're going to run it down, or set screw I should say. We're going to run it down to our cam bearing. and we'll feel it bottom out. Okay, there it bottomed out. So now from there, I'm going to torque it. Now that's not much. That's all it takes though. So now we're just going to take our 7/8 wrench. We'll run the jam nut down, and we will jam it real good. We don't want that backing off. So there we go. Basically, the problem is fixed, other than waiting on this nut and the lock tab that goes on this nut. So we could probably reuse this nut, but just for safety's sake, we're going to put a new nut on, the new lock tabs, and then we know for sure that there's not going to be any problems. So this is still a little, it's just a hair loose, but we talked to some guys that worked on these, and they said that they were always loose. This idler gear in this stud was kind of a problem child of the 70, the 720, and the 730. They claim that they updated them, but from all the guys we've talked to, they don't really think they ever really updated it. They just changed the part number and sent it back out the door. So that was kind of a problem with these two cylinders. But, you know, you check it every once in a while, make sure there's no major issues with it, it'll be fine. So anyways, I think that's going to be it for today's episode of Dirt Green Steel. We didn't do much on the tractor, but we do have the problem fixed. We just have to reassemble now. And as we go, we're going to reseal the water pipes, reseal a few small oil leaks it had. And by the time we get it all back together, this tractor will be ready, pretty sure, to go to the field, other than I want to change the brake linings. I need to change those yet. But other than that, we're going to have a new clutch. We got all the clutch parts, so the new clutch will be all assembled and ready to go. Other than the only other thing that we didn't get that we wanted was these clutch linings are not riveted. They are glued, and that could cause a potential problem. The glued ones are fine for parade tractors. The riveted ones are the best for tractors that are going to go out and work, because the heat in the clutch works on the glue, and it'll pop them fibers loose off of the clutch discs, I suppose you'd call them. So the problem is they're like 2 months on back order for riveted clutches. So for now, we just got the glued ones. It'll get the tractor going for now. And it's no big deal to swap them out later if it becomes a problem. So, and as soon as they are available, we are going to get the riveted ones. So, as of right now though, we're going to throw the tractor back together with the glued ones. Just how it's going to be, because I want to play with the tractor. And I don't want to wait that long. So anyways, I think that's going to be it for today's episode of Dirt Green Steel. I forgot to tell you, I got a fan hub. A good fan hub with good bearings in it for the MC. That was another thing I picked up today. Oh, and I was going to show you this. Hang on. Let's go over here to the bench. So here's the couplers, and here's the fan shaft. So as you can see, I got some creepola because that one won't come off. But as you can see, these splines are really sharp and really worn in this coupler. This is a good coupler. You can see how nice they are, and you can see how pointy they are. So that's what's wore in the fan shaft, causing all the free play in the fan. I figured I'd show you that real quick. So anyways, if you like this episode of Dirt Green Steel, give me a like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it, and I will see you all in the next one.